I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason.
He can speak. He just chooses not to.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Hello, I am Lizardmon, and this is Halloween Ends in 15 Minutes or Less. Halloween Ends was directed by David Gordon Green and has an IMDB rating of 5.1 out of 10 and a popularity of 2. And in case you didn't know, Halloween Ends picks up right where the last movie, Halloween Kills, left off, this being the third and final movie of the Halloween trilogy. It's Halloween night 2019 in Haddonfield, Illinois, as we see Corey has showed up to babysit for the Allen household. We then see Jeremy scare his mother as he appears to have paper airplanes on lock. We also find out that Jeremy's been wetting the bed because of Michael Myers. After being told not to watch TV, they are then watching The Thing as it's ripping a man's arm off, but we also learn that Jeremy is a bit of a punk as he says he doesn't want to be friends with an ugly boy babysitter.
Listen here, you little
Corey then goes to make himself some zucchini bread, but hears a sound from the other room where he goes in to see that Jeremy is no longer there and that the lamp seems to have been tipped over. He then sees the front door is left wide open and we see a shadow move behind him, some might even say a shape. Corey then hears sounds coming from inside the kitchen where we see that the knife that was once previously on the counter is no longer there. At the same time we hear screaming coming from upstairs at what sounds like rapid footsteps. For some reason the same knife that was on the zucchini bread counter earlier is now sitting on the steps. Corey now appears to find himself in the attic when we see behind him the door to the attic begins to slam shut and Jeremy locks the door behind him. Corey then freaking out about being locked in the attic kicks the door open, slamming it into Jeremy's face only to send him careening over the side of the staircase.
What was that?
Which makes absolutely no sense. How did this kid make it over the railing? It's taller than him. We then basically get a here's what happened last episode as it shows the prior Halloween movies along with a montage of all the people that he killed in the prior 2 movies, then finding out that after causing all that damage, he just vanished.
But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
We then see as there's this couple that have been shot in the head and the police immediately speculate you think it's Michael, to which Detective Frank replies, Michael doesn't use guns, but if we remember from the movie right before this, he made the other lady shoot herself right in the face, so maybe he did the same thing to these people. We also see that one person has even hung themselves over the fear of Michael Myers. All of this being told to us by the perspective of Laurie Stroud as she is writing a memoir, and we find out that she has decided not to let fear rule her life, so after living a certain way for the past 40 years decides to make a complete 180 and just decides to live as a stay-at-home grandmother now. We also see that this is the most dysfunctional family ever as Laurie begins to burn her pie in the oven and Allison, trying to fix it, grabs a fire extinguisher and instead of using the fire extinguisher grabs a broom and just beats the hell out of the smoke detector. A real bag of geniuses here.
We have technology.
We now see Corey is here again as he appears to be going to his job at the local shopyard. It then appears that his boss is offering to give Corey a motorcycle so that he can actually make it to work on time. Allison also gets pulled over on her way to work by a really creepy cop dude who's just explaining to her that her muffler appears like it's about to fall off. Now rolling up appears to be the multicultural group of kids trying to get Corey to buy them some beer. They then figure out that he's a babysitting where Jeremy had died and start calling him a pedophile, causing him to completely obliterate a glass bottle in his hand, causing the main jerk to get mad and push him over, sending more shards of glass into his hand. But luckily at the same time Laurie shows up and gets the kids to stop messing with him right before they decide to slash the kids' tires. We now see that Alice is at her job at the hospital and funnily enough who should show up but Laurie because Corey has glass in his hand. Corey and Allison then begin to have a little bit of a moment before Corey gets stuck with the numbing and freaks everybody out and drops all the equipment. After their interaction in the hospital it's clear that Allison wants to spend more time with Corey, even with this wonderful line.
Why can't the bicycle stand on its own?
No, it can't. It's got a kickstand.
Because it was too tired.
Allison is back at her house, but she grabs a tarot card and it's the card of death, so wonder what that can mean. We then see how Corey lives in a household with an overbearing mom who seems to make his life very difficult, but at the same time he's texting Allison setting up plans so that he can go to a costume party with her. The next day now, Allison brings in her minivan so Corey can fix it for her. We then have this moment where Corey is trying to explain how to operate a motorcycle to Allison and he doesn't know a whole lot about it, while at the same time in the background we now see that the kids from earlier that Corey slashed the tire of the car have brought their car to get the vehicle fixed.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own action.
We then get some of the most awkward interaction between two characters in a movie I've ever seen. It's like these two have never understood how to have a normal conversation ever in their lives.
I like your face. I mean, I like seeing your face.
So do you.
I do too. I like seeing you too.
Oh no, gringe!
But luckily, as soon as Laurie leaves the store, we see this woman who is blaming her for the fact that her sister was attacked by Michael Myers, because yes, it's definitely the sister's fault that the brother was a maniac. We now go to the costume party in which Allison and Corey are now attending, and there's this really weird moment between the two of them where it's obvious that Corey has never learned to dance before in his life. But guess who happens to be at the bar? It's the mother of Jeremy. You know, the kid that jumped off the balcony because there's no way he fell off of it. And so she begins to confront him and yell at him, basically driving him out of the bar. Corey then gets mad at Allison for making him go out into the public again because that's the whole reason that he does it. And of course, while on his way back, who shows up but our multicultural gang of jerks? One of the kids ends up stepping on Corey's glasses and completely destroying them. This may not seem like a whole lot right now, but it has way more impact later on. And luckily, Corey stands up for himself, resulting in him getting thrown off the side of the bridge. After getting thrown off the bridge, though, he appears to be dragged into the sewer. Corey then wakes up in the sewer, and on his way out he's grabbed by none other than Michael Myers. He holds him there and appears to be strangling him, but gets a close-up in his eyes, and somehow Michael gets a vision into his past, seeing everything that Corey's gone through. Michael then lets him go, and Corey makes his way out of the sewer, where he was quickly confronted by a homeless man. The homeless man wondering why he was allowed out after seeing Michael drag many of people into that hole before, and none have ever made it out. During this altercation though, Corey has to stab the old man and quickly runs away. We then also find out that Allison didn't get a promotion at work and instead went to her coworker Deb. We now see as Corey is on his motorcycle driving off, and we get this recreated scene of Laurie standing at the window. She looks down and sees Corey standing by the bush, much in the same way that Michael would in the previous movies. Corey asks Allison to go for a walk with him, where he begins to tell her basically his entire life story about how he was responsible for the death of Jeremy, even taking her to the house. Laurie Stroud is then talking to Corey's mom and sees how she's a real pain. Allison and Corey are now at a diner having a nice little date, and then this wonderful moment is ruined by Doug, who just keeps on being a pest and bugging Allison until Corey stands up and says something about it. Corey then takes Allison back home, where we see that somebody's been following them, and it's pretty clear that Corey knows that somebody's following them as well, as he leads them down under the same bridge that he was thrown off of. Corey momentarily jumps Doug, surprising him until retreating into the sewer. As Doug is rummaging around and looking into the sewer, he sees what appears to be a face on a rock and somehow doesn't see Michael Myers 5 feet to the right of him, like he literally shines a flashlight right over him. He then sees Corey but is then jumped by Michael, and now we go into a 2-on-1 handicap match with Corey and Michael working together, with Corey holding on to Doug while Michael kills him. And it appears as Michael is killing him, he's almost being rejuvenated. Corey then goes to Allison's house and tries to explain to her that he doesn't know what's happening to himself. We also see that night as Laurie shows up that Michael is once again stalking her. Laurie is now at the bar explaining how she looks at Corey and she sees Michael. The bartender then says there's somebody I want you to meet, introducing her to the father of Jeremy. Roger explains how he felt about Corey and about how he felt like he was a good kid and that he had tried for so long to try and forgive him, and that yesterday he saw him on the side of the road and finally decided that he would try to say something to him to try to get closure on what all happened, but says when he pulled up to him and looked into the eyes of Corey, he realized that those weren't the same eyes of the kid that he once knew. We now see why Deb may have gotten that promotion, as she's preparing for a date night with Dr. Mathis, but while Deb is getting prepared to take a shower, she hears a sound coming from outside, and upon walking into the backyard, she can see nothing, but we can see over here in the darkness that somebody is just going to town on Dr. Mathis until Deb turns on the light, and we see that it's actually Corey who's stabbing Dr. Mathis. Corey tries to chase her down but gets locked outside, but we once again see that it's a 2-man operation, with Michael grabbing Deb and forcing her up against the wall. Corey checks his hand and sees that it almost seems to be healing until Michael finishes the job with Deb. We then see once again as Corey is riding with Allison on the motorcycle until we see them once again on top of the radio station. Corey then jumps down from the roof while at the same time alerting Willie the Kid, the radio station host, that there are trespassers. Willie the Kid then says, both of y'all better get off my property before I mess y'all up. As you can tell, everybody in this town is just a bunch of roses. That same night, Corey goes back home to where his mother berates him and ends up slapping him. We then see that the wonderful place that Corey decided to sleep that night was none other than the Allen residence, the same place where Jeremy had fallen and died, and for some reason decided to sleep right on the old bloodstain. We then get a monologue from Laurie explaining the 2 different types of of evil, how one is external evil and it's more apparent to everyone that can be fought off, and the other type of evil is internal, almost like an infection. We then get this back and forth between the two of them where Corey tries to explain to her that all he wants is Allison and he should just let her be with me, while Corey is just absolutely carrying this entire movie with his acting, as we could tell he's definitely not the same person that he was at the beginning. Corey calls Allison saying that her grandmother is trying to kill him, while at the same time Corey shows up back to the sewer now fighting with Michael, ultimately overpowering him and taking a mask from him. We once again see our multicultural group of jerks as Corey has now scratched the word psycho onto the hood of their car. We then get a conversation between Allison and Laurie where Laurie explains to Allison that she sees in Corey what she saw in Michael. The two then begin to argue more about the fact that Laurie appears to be a lot of the causes of the problems that have plagued Allison. The group now has appeared to follow Corey back to the junkyard where the gang decides that they're going to drag Corey's motorcycle with a chain by the back of the car, but Billy isn't starting the car and we soon find out why.
Wait, what are you trying to do, man? Suck your own. Oh my god!
But now we see as the tow truck begins to barrel towards them and one makes it over the fence and so does the other one, but one doesn't make it out of the way in time.
Stay calm. I'm gonna get you out of here. Don't worry. I'm gonna get you out.
Unfortunately, Ronald is now alerted to the presence of the kids. If only he had stayed there and just watched his movie, but luckily Ronald comes strapped. But Ronald then sees that Corey is now putting on the mask of Michael Myers and Terry has the wonderful idea to try to shoot Corey. But don't worry, because now Terry's gonna get what's coming to him. Now you may be wondering what happens to the one stuck under the gate. We now see as Corey's mother is sitting on the couch and making some sort of crafts, and maybe she should have tried to be a better mother.
We're gonna eat it. That looks good. A little ice cream? A little cookie?
We then again see the wonderful Willie the Kid as he is hosting his radio show, but he gets a lucky visitor. Corey comes in the front door where he meets the receptionist. And after dealing with the receptionist, Corey pays Willie a visit. I've heard of the sound of music, but this must be the taste of music.
You suck!
Allison then goes to the diner where she's supposed to meet Corey, but he is nowhere to be found. She then ends up going to Corey's house, but nobody answers because nobody's alive and home. We then see as Laurie is going back up to her writing room as she pulls out a gun and makes a call reporting a suicide. We then see as she shoots a pumpkin, and for some reason that was supposed to have us think that it was her killing herself because that definitely looks like she just shot a pumpkin. Until Corey opens the door and she shoots him a couple times, sending him through the balcony. We then hear as Allison pulls out front because of her muffler, to which Corey starts laughing and says, "I told you if I can't tap Allison," and then he stabs himself in the neck. And as Allison comes in through the front door, all she sees is Laurie standing over Corey with a bloody knife, immediately thinking that she did something to him. Allison then leaves Corey and Laurie in the house by themselves, at least so it seems, as we soon find out that Michael is also in the house, and as he reaches for the knife, Corey also reaches for him, causing Michael to finish things once and for all. We then see Michael is stalking Laurie to the closet until the thing in the microwave explodes, allowing Laurie to get the jump on Michael. We then get this really long fight scene between the two, ending with Laurie stabbing Michael's hand to the kitchen table. Laurie then grabs another knife and stabs the other hand to the kitchen table, hammering it in with the frying pan, which also wouldn't have worked because that would have just snapped the knife blade. She then throws the kitchen refrigerator onto him, fully trapping him. She then proceeds to slice his throat, while moments later he frees his hand and begins to choke Laurie, while at the same time we get this really weird flashback that Laurie has. Luckily, Allison shows up, snapping his arm and allowing Laurie to finally slit the wrist of Michael. The rest of the police show up only for Laurie to say he's dead, but we need to make sure. They then strap Michael to the top of their car roadkill style and begin to take him to another destination while being followed by the entire town. For this town being so close together for something like this, it's pretty weird that they would all just turn on Corey when that accident happened. We find out that the place that they're taking Michael to is the body shop where Corey worked, also the same place where those 4 kids and Ronald were murdered. Guess nobody cares about that fact because the entire town is just walking in. They then decide to end it all by finally sending Michael through the chopper. We then get a final conversation between Allison and Laurie where she explained that Corey was consumed by evil, followed by Allison leaving Haddonfield in her minivan, while at the same time Frank drops off some vegetables and they talk about cherry blossoms. For the plot it gets a 0.5, it was more focused on sending a message than it was telling a story. For the acting it gets a 3 only because of Corey. For cinematography it gets a 1 because it wasn't terrible. I mean, I like the one shot in the sewer, but that's about it. And for the bonus point it gets no bonus point, leaving it with a final score of 4.5 out of 10 and ending with a final death count of 18. This has been Halloween Ends in 15 minutes or less. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. And until next time, have a wonderful day.